Humanity's ancient fleet struck like a meteor from the void, pulverizing the Voth front lines into atomic dust within mere hours of their arrival. Marcus Lewis stumbled out of cryosleep, muscles still stiff from centuries of slumber, aboard the TSS Nighthawk. Alarms blared, red lights flashed. The rest of his platoon, 29 groggy soldiers, spilled from their cryopods and grabbed rifles. They had been sent out over 200 years ago to explore the unknown reaches of space. Now they were awake. Something was very wrong. "Soldiers, I have grave news," announced Ares, the ship AI. "A distress signal from the Galactic Council. An insectoid race called the Voth have launched an overwhelming invasion. Dozens of worlds burn. The Council fleets are crippled and on the verge of total defeat. A new Voth weapon leaves ships helpless. The Council begs for aid from anyone, anywhere." Marcus clenched his fists. Humanity was still rebuilding from the devastating Centauri War. Their population had been reduced to a few shattered colonies. Their fleet was a shadow of its former might. But if the Council fell, how long until the Voth set their sights on the weakened Terran worlds? "Plot a course for the nearest Council planet," Marcus ordered, jaw tight. "Looks like our mission just changed. We're the only humans out this far. If we don't stop the Voth, there'll be nothing to stop them from rolling over the whole damn galaxy, including what's left of Earth." Dread knotted his stomach as the Nighthawk leapt into hyperspace. What nightmares awaited them in this strange new age? The survival of the human race might rest on the actions of his single antiquated ship. But the Voth were about to learn that even one human vessel was a force to be reckoned with. As the old Terran saying went, there was nothing more dangerous than a human with nothing left to lose. The Nighthawk shuddered as it dropped out of hyperspace. Marcus braced himself against a console as the inertial dampeners struggled to compensate. The instant the ship's sensors cleared, he saw a scene of devastation spread before them on the view screen. "My God," Marcus whispered. Where the lush green world of Zephyrus Prime should have been, there was only a ruined husk. The planet's surface was pockmarked with massive craters, glowing an angry red. Skeletal remains of cities jutted from the rubble. A debris field of shattered ships and stations cluttered the space around the ravaged world. And looming over it all was the Voth Armada. Dozens of massive warships, each bristling with enough firepower to sterilize a continent. A small cluster of council vessels swarmed around the invaders like flies attacking a lion. Pinpricks of light flared as they traded shots, but the council ships were hopelessly outmatched. "Ares, scan those Voth ships," Marcus ordered. "Find me a weakness, a soft spot, anything." "Scanning," the AI replied. "The Voth ships are equipped with an advanced shielding system far beyond any known Council technology. Weapons analysis indicates their shields can shrug off even capital-class railguns with negligible drain." Marcus slammed a fist into the console. "There has to be something. Keep looking." A tense moment passed. Then Ares spoke again, an urgent edge to its synthesized voice. "Captain, I've detected a powerful energy signature emanating from the central Voth dreadnought. It's like nothing I've seen before. If I had to hypothesize, it could be powering some kind of new weapon system." An idea sparked in Marcus's mind. A desperate, reckless, all-or-nothing gambit. But what other choice did they have? He keyed the ship-wide comm. "All hands, this is the captain. Gear up and report to the drop base. We're going to punch a hole in their lines and board the flagship. If we can take out this new weapon of theirs, it might give the Council ships a fighting chance." There was a chorus of acknowledgments from his platoon. Marcus could hear the fear in their voices, but also the steel beneath it. They were soldiers of terror. They would not back down. He grabbed his rifle, checked the charge, and headed for the drop bay. One ship against an armada. 30 soldiers against an entire dreadnought's worth of enemies. The odds were beyond impossible. But when had that ever stopped a human? The Nighthawk's forward plasma lance carved a smoldering hole into the Voth flagship's hull. Marcus was the first one through the breach, his rifle up and scanning for targets. Insectoid warriors boiled out of the corridors, plasma rifles crackling as they opened fire. Their shots splashed off the humans' power armor, barely slowing them down. Marcus's platoon fanned out, taking cover behind twisted bulkheads and returning fire. Hypersonic slugs from their Gorse rifles punched through the Voth's chitinous armor like it was paper. Viscous green blood splattered the walls. "Push forward," Marcus roared over the din of battle. "We need to find that weapon." They advanced down the corridor, leapfrogging from cover to cover. The Voth fought with the ferocity of cornered animals, but they were no match for the humans' superior tactics and firepower. Marcus led from the front, his rifle barking as he put down target after target. As they battled their way deeper into the ship, the corridor opened up into a large holding bay. Inside were dozens of cells, each containing a haggard-looking prisoner. Most were council species, but there were a few that Marcus didn't recognize. "Please, you must help us," a voice called out. Marcus turned to see a tall, avian-looking alien in an ornate uniform. "I am Admiral Zoran of the Council Fleet. The Voth have been using us as slave labor to mine Zephyrium from the planet's core. They're using it to power a weapon of unimaginable destructive potential." Marcus used the butt of his rifle to smash open the lock on Zoran's cell. "Where is this weapon? How do we destroy it?" "The reactor is deep within the ship, but you must hurry. If they fire the weapon again, the planet's core will destabilize and implode. Billions will die." Marcus nodded grimly. "Not on my watch. Men, we're moving out. Double time." They blasted their way to the reactor room, leaving a trail of Voth bodies in their wake. The massive chamber was dominated by a pulsing, sickly green orb, the Zephyrium reactor. But standing between them and their target was the biggest Voth Marcus had ever seen. The creature stood at least 10 feet tall, encased in heavy armor bristling with spikes and blades. It hefted a huge plasma cannon, the barrel glowing with barely contained energy. "Get the prisoners out of here and back to the Nighthawk," Marcus ordered. "I'll handle this ugly bastard." His men hesitated for a split second, then obeyed. They knew better than to question him when he used that tone. Marcus stepped forward, locking eyes with the Voth behemoth. The alien snarled, mandibles clicking together in challenge. Marcus responded by firing a burst from his rifle, the slugs sparking off the Voth's armor. The Voth roared in fury and charged, plasma cannon blazing. Marcus ducked and rolled, feeling the heat of the shots as they passed inches from his head. He came up firing, aiming for the joints and weak points in the armor. The Voth staggered as a few shots found their mark, green blood oozing from the wounds. But it kept coming, swinging its cannon like a club. Marcus ducked under the blow and rammed his shoulder into the Voth's midsection. It was like hitting a brick wall. He bounced off, rolling to avoid another swing of the cannon. As he came up to one knee, Marcus primed a plasma grenade and charged. The Voth raised its cannon to fire, but Marcus was faster. He leaped forward, slamming the grenade onto the Voth's chest plate and wrapping his arms around it in a bear hug. The grenade detonated, and Marcus's world dissolved into searing, white-hot pain. He felt his armor cracking, his skin blistering, his bones shattering. But through it all, he held on, pouring every ounce of strength he had left into his grip. The explosion consumed them both, vaporizing flesh and metal alike. The Voth warrior disappeared in a blinding flash, and Marcus felt himself coming apart at the seams. But even as his body disintegrated, he felt a fierce surge of triumph. The Zephyrium reactor, caught in the edge of the blast, ruptured and exploded. A chain reaction tore through the flagship, ripping it apart from the inside out. The Voth fleet, caught off guard by the sudden destruction of their command ship, fell into disarray. On the bridge of the Nighthawk, Admiral Zoran watched in amazement as the enemy armada was consumed in a massive conflagration. Debris peppered the Council fleet's shields, but they held strong. "By the gods," Zoran whispered, "they did it. Those crazy humans actually did it." As the light of the explosion faded, a somber silence fell over the bridge. Every man and woman there knew the price that had been paid for this victory. Marcus Lewis, the hero of humanity, was gone. He had given his life to save not just his own species, but all the races of the galaxy. But even in death his legend would live on. The story of the human who stood alone against an alien armada and emerged triumphant would be told for generations to come. Marcus Lewis may have fallen, but he would never be forgotten. As the shattered remnants of the Voth armada fled into the void, the battered Council fleet regrouped around Zephyrus Prime. The Nighthawk, scarred and venting atmosphere from a dozen hull breaches, limped into formation alongside the other ships. Its crew, numb with grief and exhaustion, could only watch as the planet they had fought so hard to save continued to burn below them. In the ship's medbay, the surviving members of Marcus's platoon huddled together, their faces gaunt and haunted. They had won the battle, but the cost had been too high. Their leader, their friend, was gone, sacrificed to destroy the Voth superweapon and save countless lives. A chime sounded, and the soldiers looked up as Admiral Zoran entered the room. The avian officer's feathers were ruffled and singed, but his eyes shone with gratitude as he addressed the humans. "Soldiers of Terra," he began, his voice rough with emotion, "there are no words to express the depth of our thanks. Your courage and sacrifice have saved not only my people, but the entire galaxy. Marcus Lewis will be remembered as a hero for as long as the Council endures." The soldiers nodded, too drained to speak. Zoran continued, his tone growing serious. "But the war is not over. The Voth still infest dozens of systems, and their armies are vast. The Council needs warriors like you if we are to have any hope of victory. I ask you now, not as an admiral, but as a fellow soldier. Will you join us? Will you fight alongside the Council to bring justice to the Voth and protect the innocent?" For a long moment the humans were silent. They looked to each other, communicating without words. Then, as one, they stood tall and saluted. "Sir, yes, sir," they said in unison, their voices ringing with determination. "We're with you until the end." Zoran returned the salute, his eyes glistening. "Then welcome to the Council Special Forces. We have much work to do." As the Nighthawk underwent repairs, and the Council fleet prepared to depart for the next battlefront, a strange signal was detected coming from a nearby system. It was similar to the unique signature of the Nighthawk's engines, suggesting the presence of more human ships. Intrigued and hopeful, Zoran dispatched a small task force led by the Nighthawk to investigate. If there were more humans out there, their aid could be invaluable in the fight against the Voth. The task force emerged from hyperspace on the edge of the system, sensors straining to locate the source of the signal. What they found left them speechless. Arranged in perfect formation before them was the largest fleet any of them had ever seen. Hundreds of human warships, each one a sleek, deadly knife of armor and weaponry, and at the center a colossal dreadnought that made even the Nighthawk look like a toy by comparison. "By the gods," whispered one of the Council officers, "I've never seen anything like it." A hailing frequency crackled to life, and the grizzled face of a human admiral appeared on the viewscreen. His uniform was similar to Marcus's, but adorned with even more medals and commendations. "This is Admiral Graves of the Terran Expeditionary Force," he said, his voice a rumble of authority. "We've been tracking the Voth for months, waiting for our moment to strike. Thanks to the efforts of Captain Lewis and his crew, that moment is now at hand." He leaned forward, his eyes hard as steel. "The Voth have sown the wind, now they shall reap the whirlwind. All ships prepare for immediate departure. It's time we showed these bugs what humans are capable of." As the combined human and Council fleet leapt into hyperspace, the soldiers of the Nighthawk allowed themselves a moment of hope. The war was far from over, but with the full might of humanity at their side, victory was within reach. The Voth had unleashed an enemy unlike any they had ever faced, an enemy that would not rest until the galaxy was free of their menace, an enemy called humanity. The Terran fleet surged forward, a wall of gleaming metal and bristling weaponry. Thousands of ships, from nimble frigates to mighty dreadnoughts, tore into the Voth lines. The insectoid ships reeled under the onslaught, their hulls buckling and shattering under the relentless barrage. On the bridge of the Titan, Admiral Graves stood impassive, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. The Voth ships winked out one by one, reduced to expanding clouds of debris. Within minutes, The once mighty Voth armada was reduced to a handful of battered stragglers fleeing for the galactic rim. A cheer went up from the bridge crew as the last Voth ship vanished from the sensors, but Graves remained stoic, his face an unreadable mask. He keyed the fleet-wide comm. "All ships, stand down from battle stations. The Voth threat has been neutralized. Prepare for immediate departure to Terran space." In the Titan's hangar bay, the soldiers of the Nighthawk stood in formation, their faces a mix of elation and trepidation. They had just witnessed the full might of the Terran military firsthand. But what would happen now that their mission was complete? Admiral Zoran strode into the hangar, his feathered head held high. He approached Graves, his hand extended in gratitude. "Admiral Graves, on behalf of the Council and all the free peoples of the galaxy, I thank you. Your intervention has saved countless lives." Graves took Zoran's hand, his grip firm but brief. The Terran Expeditionary Force was sent here for one purpose, to eliminate the Voth threat. That purpose has been achieved. Our mission is over. Zoran's eyes widened. "But surely you must stay. The galaxy is in chaos. The Council needs your help to restore order and rebuild what was lost." Graves shook his head, his expression unyielding. "I'm sorry, Admiral, but that's not our problem. The Terran government's policy is clear. We do not interfere in the affairs of other species. You'll have to find your own path forward." Zoran's feathers ruffled in agitation. "But without you, the Voth or some other threat may rise again. We need your strength to maintain the peace." Graves was unmoved. "The galaxy is a dangerous place, Admiral. No one knows that better than humans, but we cannot be your crutch. You must learn to stand on your own." He reached into his uniform and pulled out a small data chip, pressing it into Zoran's hand. "This contains schematics and technical data for some of our most advanced weapons and technology. Consider it a parting gift. Use it wisely." With that, Graves turned on his heel and strode away, his boots ringing on the deck. Zoran watched him go, the data chip heavy in his hand. Around him, the Terran ships began to power up their engines, preparing for the long journey home. As the Titan and its fleet leapt into hyperspace, Zoran couldn't shake the feeling that the Council had just lost something irreplaceable. The Terrans had saved them, but at what cost? Only time would tell if the galaxy could survive without humanity's guiding hand. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.